What's up, everyone? Happy Saturday. This is Mayan Gordon coming to you live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. You guys know what to do. If you're watching right now, please post in the comments. Where are you watching from, and what is one thing that you're grateful for today? One thing I am incredibly grateful for today is this amazing LinkedIn community, which is filled with mostly incredible people. But that does bring me to the topic of today's subject, which is that there are some scammers and some con artists out here on the platform. Now, I have recently discovered one. I believe his name is Chad Phillips. I will make a full apology if I ever get any information indicating anything otherwise, but I've got a pretty good bullshit detector. I feel like I have a really good idea of what qualifications, what evidence might be very easily presented against claims that you are the CEO of a $220 billion company. First of all, that's a red flag because there aren't that many $220 billion companies out there. And if I've never heard of yours and can't verify or find any information on what you're claiming, and you can't directly point me to any evidence to prove anything that you're saying, that's a huge red flag to me. I'm going to talk about some other things that you can notice in terms of red flags specifically on LinkedIn. And if you guys have any questions, absolutely, please feel free to post in the comments. And if anyone is brave enough to post and comment and say, you know what, I've been scammed before, I think it would be one, incredibly brave and powerful of you. And I know it would help someone out there who also has been scammed, who has been taken advantage of, who feels alone. I know that when people typically get taken advantage of, it is not something that they talk about because there is a lot of shame or embarrassment that tends to be tied with that. You guys, you do not have to be ashamed or embarrassed ever if someone took advantage of you. That means that you have a great heart. You were willing to believe in someone because you believe in humanity. Maybe, in fact, maybe you were desperate. Maybe you didn't necessarily believe in that person. Maybe you had indications and feelings in your gut that there was something wrong, but you were desperate. That is also not something to be ashamed of. What I think I want to share today, though, are a couple things that you can always kind of keep your eye out for when it comes to evaluating people. And before you ever spend money on a service or a product or with a person, you should do some amount of research. If you didn't in the past, that's okay. Your past mistakes do not hold you back from having an incredibly amazing future. But here are some things to look for. Look at the recommendation section. Now, someone might have a lot of number of recommendations, but do those recommendations specifically point to a specific thing that that person helped them with? I think a great example, if you guys want to compare, look at my recommendations. Not to brag, I've got some really great recommendations, not only because they're saying great things about me, they're saying very specific things that I did to help them. They're not saying, Mayan's a great marketer, go follow her, do business with her. They're saying, Mayan hopped on a call with me, gave me this very specific piece of advice that was incredibly helpful to me. So you want to look for specificity and details, you guys, right? The devil's in the details, as the saying goes. And that is really the truth of it. Someone can say a whole lot of great things about themselves. Someone can make a whole lot of claims. But if they can't give you the details of it, it's most likely a lie. Otherwise, they would be very easily and willing to give those details. I'm going to give a couple shout outs to some people who are watching right now. We got Jonathan, the Bitcoin people. So not all Bitcoin people are scammers. I certainly personally do not know enough about the Bitcoin business industry to be able to evaluate whether or not someone is legitimate in Bitcoin. Here's what I can tell you. Bitcoin's a real thing. There is legitimacy to Bitcoin. Do I know in what facet? Absolutely not. Do I feel like almost every single person who messages me on LinkedIn about Bitcoin is trying to just get money for me with providing zero amount of value and kind of like a scammer? Yes. But that's not to say Bitcoin isn't a real thing that has real value. So whenever you have this conflict, and here's, you guys, if you are confused about where value lies in a product or a service or a company, stay away from it. Okay? The worst case scenario, you do get scammed. The best case scenario, you don't get scammed, but also don't get any value out of it because you don't understand it. In general, do not spend your money on things that you do not understand in any degree. You have to have a base level of understanding to make sure that that person has level of expertise, to make sure that that company is providing you with a valuable service and not just taking your money in showing you some numbers. You have to be able to ask the right questions to be able to truly evaluate someone. Exactly. Bonnie says you need to be able to vet people. Exactly. The never-ending charity association. So charity is a different issue where I would say it's not as much as a scam as just bad infrastructure and cohesiveness. So a charity that really does want to help people but is taking your money and spending it all on their own infrastructure costs is not scamming you. They're just a bad charity, or it's poorly run charity. And in fact, I think there's a major issue in the charity, let's say, landscape, where there's too many charities trying to do the same thing. There should really, in terms of efficiency and effectiveness, be one charity for each type of charity that and foundation that people are really trying to achieve with. There shouldn't be 50 different charities all trying to help childhood cancer. They should all combine their resources and become one charity. So this actually points me to, if you're looking to start up a charity, instead of starting an entirely new charity, I really behoove you to check out charities that already exist in the exact area that you want to make an impact in, and trying to support those and become part of those, partner with those, add on to those. Because if your true intention is to make positive impact, does it matter how you're doing it? Does it matter if you're getting all the credit? No, absolutely not. Focus on really how can you spend your time, energy, and money to make the greatest impact. And not only will you be more fulfilled, but you'll be much more successful at making that impact. Let's see, we got Jean-Christophe in the house. Did I say that right? I hope so. What's good? Awesome, you guys. Yeah, and if you think there's any value in this, if you know someone in your network who's gotten scammed or taken advantage of before, please, everyone, share this live right now so that we can get some of this information out there to people who might be worried, who might be confused about how to evaluate people. So the recommendation section is absolutely a good place to start. How real and authentic do those recommendations look? The other thing to look at is the about section. One, do they have a lot of info in the about section? Two, so if they don't, let's say they have a very empty about section. I'm not saying that's a red flag. Some people started their LinkedIn 10 years ago and just haven't updated. In fact, hey, you guys, you out there, I know you're watching, update your LinkedIn about section. It matters, okay? But outside of that, let's say they do have a lot of info. Verify any details that you can about that info. And if there aren't details, message them and ask them for some. Say, hey, I saw that in your about section, in your bio, you said you work at this company. Could I please get some of the names of the other people who've worked there or who you worked with so that I can talk to them about you? You can always verify through other people, right? That's a really great way to do it. I would say another way to evaluate people based on their LinkedIn profiles is going to be that experience section. Does it look like they've worked for real companies? If it does, look those companies up. Oftentimes, larger companies will have lists of employees, especially if it's an employee at a top level. That's going to be something public. That's going to be something that you can easily find and access. And if that information isn't there online when you Google search, that's another kind of red flag indicator to at least be more skeptical and ask more information. Anytime a red flag pops up, what you need to do is ask more info, or not pursue that person, not have any more communications with that person. Exactly. Pick up the phone, ask for specific, just more and more details. And if when you're asking for details, they are not very willing to give you the information easily in detail, if they're giving you kind of runarounds, like, for example, with this guy, Chad Phillips, I asked him, hey, could I get the names of some people that you've worked with? And he gave me 2 first names. Cool. John and Todd, that's not helpful. John and Todd who? So I did a follow-up question. Could you send me their LinkedIn profiles? You sending me their first names means nothing to me. He sent me 2 profiles that did not look legitimate either. Be aware, scam artists have scam artist friends, okay? When you start asking for details, they might have put, unfortunately, and this honestly blows my mind, the level of misery you must have inside yourself to block off the compassion that naturally all of us have for each other. People love people. And for you to stifle. I make up words sometimes, you guys, bear with me. For you to stifle the true nature of your heart just so you can make some money. Oh, what a self-deprecating, mutilating to yourself kind of thing to do. So I do have a level of empathy for people who are even scammers, because it's a terrible, terrible feeling to try and scam someone. And I can't imagine, unless you were born with some really kind of brain defects, or just different kind of biological chemistry, that wouldn't hurt you inside. So you want to make sure that not only are they giving you information that you can verify, but really dig deeper. Make sure you're skeptical of that information on every level. And again, unless you have a feeling of pure confidence, you really trust someone, do not give them your money. I'm talking about me too. If you guys don't trust me, please do not give me your money. Do your research, ask me questions. I love talking about who I am, what I've done. I've got lots of references, lots of things to prove everything I say. It's not something I worry about because I don't lie. It's not my intention to take advantage of anyone, ever. In fact, oftentimes, I'll take some intro calls and I'll say, you know what? My suggestion for you is not to pay for my services or pay for anyone's services right now. I think you should do these 3 things for the next 3 months. Send me a message anytime you have a question. And if at the end of 3 months you've made significant progress, and from that help that I've given you for free, you want to work with me, then that makes sense to me. How about that? And people go, wow, that sounds like a really smart idea. It is a really smart idea. You guys don't have to pay for things. There is so much great information out there, and there are so many great people out there that are willing to help you for free, that are willing to at least support you for free. And if someone's really being pushy about asking you for a payment or trying to get your money, that in it of itself should be some type of red flag, that they do not have your best interests at heart, and they are not truly interested to help you or bring you value. Exactly. You guys, trust your gut. You have those feelings for a reason. And I think you can tell all of us have had at least one really good relation. I hope. I'm not going to, I'd say, what's the word? I'm not going to make a blanket statement that every single person on the planet has had a good relationship. But I think most of us have had at least one relationship that we feel that person would not ever take advantage of us. So you have a baseline feeling of that energy from that one relationship. Compare all your other relationships to that one leader relationship on energy. And if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel the same, you can walk away from it. You will not lose anything by walking away from someone, walking away from a conversation, or walking away from a relationship. In fact, it only frees you up to have renewed energy, renewed time for something better, for a different type of relationship. That's awesome to hear. For some reason, LinkedIn user, sometimes it'll not tell me random people's names. LinkedIn user said 90% of mine is true. Let me know your name so I can give you a shout out. Appreciate you watching. Kim Simpson, appreciate you jumping in. Andrea, I got it right that time, didn't I? I'm trying to learn everyone's name here in pronunciations. Bonnie Sussman is true. We've all been going through at least one lesson in life. Yeah, you guys, don't feel bad about making mistakes. Like, how else would you learn? How else would you know? And again, like I just said, how you typically will have at least one really good relationship to have a top baseline. Sometimes you have to have one. In fact, I don't know a single person who's really successful who doesn't have at least one super low baseline relationship for them to know what that feeling's like, right? To know, ooh, when I start to feel that, it's most likely not going to be good. And in fact, I've had many, not scammed relationships, but bad relationships, right? Where I had a partner and it didn't work out. And in the end, I'm thankful because I now know and have the ability to gauge future relationships based on that energy and that feeling, which that feeling stays inside you guys, right? When you go through a bad relationship, whether it's in business or whether it's romantically, you got a bad breakup, you tend to stay away from that type of relationship again. It's actually quite an anchor for you to not go there again. Now, some people do struggle with kind of going right back to the same relationships, but that's a whole nother issue, and something else to work on entirely, right? I think most of us, it's okay to have something go bad because we really get to learn from it. We get to make adjustments in how we deal with people and who the people are that we deal with. Exactly. It is not about you when someone takes advantage of you. It is on them. You are not a bad person. You're a wonderful person. And we all make mistakes on every level and in every single area of our lives. We make mistakes. That's what being a human is about, making mistakes and learning from them. In essence, really, you guys, that is at the core of the human experience. And learning how to deal with that emotionally is also kind of part of that journey and that experience. The better you get at being able to make mistakes and not be devastated from them, maybe still have some pain that you hold on to and remember and use as a lesson. I really believe that we learn a lot through pain. I think pain can actually be a beautiful, wonderful thing. Speaking of pain, I don't know if you guys saw, you guys all messaged me. I get so many messages saying, I love your lion tattoo. I got one too. The lion's getting covered up, you guys. I'm getting a full sleeve tattoo. I got the first session done this past Tuesday. I'll show you guys the work here. We're getting the lion covered up with a full jungle scene. I got a parrot on there right now. It's hard to see again because I haven't done any of the coloring in, but I got some orchids down here. I got a really cool parrot outline. Pain. I like tattoos. Partially, I mean, outside of the artwork, the pain is very cathartic. And it really lets you think. When you go through pain, you're forced to think in a different way and evaluate your life and evaluate your thoughts and everything you're going through in a different way. And so I think that pain can be a really good thing, you guys. Don't necessarily be scared of pain. Realize pain is part of life. Suffering is the thing that you control. Pain, you can't control pain. It's going to be there. It's going to come and it's going to go. But suffering is something that you don't have to endure. And when you go through something painful, you don't have to punish yourself. You don't have to make yourself suffer. You can just look at it and learn from it. And I think that's a really valuable lesson that I've been able to take away through a lot of suffering, you guys. Suffering sucks. Let's be honest. It's no fun at all. Crying on the floor in your bathroom is not a fun experience. But I've been there. I've done that. And I hope to never go back to it again because I have built up kind of mental, I would say, habits, mental processes that allow me to look at pain in a different way and kind of evaluate and look at my mistakes in a non-self-judgmental way, in a way where I learn from it without feeling bad about it. And so if you are someone who right now, when you go through something painful, you do suffer from it, first of all, I'm not judging you. That's okay. I'd say that's pretty normal. That's kind of how society has definitely geared us to be. And the reason for that is society's goal is, one, to keep everyone together, but two, to sell you products. And when you're suffering, it's very easy for a company to come in and go, hey, buy my product, use my service, and your suffering will end. Boy, is that appealing when you're suffering. Now, the truth of it is, you don't have to buy anything. To end your own suffering is really an internal process that starts with identifying and saying, you know what, this was bad, but it's also okay. And being okay with the things that you cannot control is such a relief. It is such a weight off your shoulders to go, I'm not tied to those bad things. Those bad things happened to me, but they are not a part of me. And if you choose, they can be a part of you in a positive way, but they also don't have to be a part of you at all. You can say, that's something that happened to past me. Future me actually got to take the past me lessons and make a better person out of that. And I'm not that person anymore who went through those bad things. And you can really detach yourself, I think, from a lot of suffering that even you've experienced. You guys, I've experienced a lot of suffering in my younger years. But I'm so happy now because I realize and accept that old me is not the me now. I don't have to hold any attachment to that suffering, to that pain. I can still look at it and learn something from it and be a better person now, but I'm a different person now. And that's kind of a beautiful thing, is that we get to, I love the symbolism of a phoenix, kind of, ties right into my parrot. Parrots and phoenixes tend to look a lot alike, right? And the phoenix is reborn through fire. It sheds its old self and is born anew. And human beings are really like that too. Every time you go through pain, it's like lighting your heart on fire, right? But from that fire comes new birth, the same way that, and there's so many examples of this in nature. A forest fire destroys the entire forest, and yet the ash from the fire is fertilizer for a completely new growth. So there's a lot to really, I think, internally look at when you're going through pain, when you're going through suffering, that can help you grow, that can help you evolve and become a new person. Jean-Christophe says, I can also endure pain when I remove hair from my nostril. Yes, great points. Got to clean those hairy nostrils, right? Bonnie says, pain brings progress. Amen. Andrea, I love you too. I really appreciate you. Let's see if we got any more. Prakash, it's a basic thing that every sales pitch should be doubted before trusting. Yeah. In fact, if you don't know the person intimately who is pitching you a sale, that should probably be the first goal, is just getting to know them a little better, right? You don't have to purchase anything from anyone. You guys, there's so much freedom. There's so many choices in our purchasing right now in the world. There's thousands, if not millions, of options for every single thing you could ever think of. So try and get to know people, especially because if you're purchasing from someone who you actually have first developed a personal relationship with, not only is there going to be a higher level of trust, not only are you going to be more certain and secure about it, but you're probably going to get better product or service out of it. Friends like to hook friends up, right? And if you can make friends with someone first and really verify that they have your best interests at heart, and they get to know you too, by default, by them having your best interests at heart and you being their friend, they will naturally give you more. It is in our nature to give more to the people that we like and that we love. Same way we give more time and love to our families than we do to almost anyone else. Same thing with our really close, deep friends, right? So stop focusing so much on the sale itself and focus on the people who you're talking to. Don't focus on the service or the product. Who is behind the service or the product? And we can all see that this is a really big movement that's actually happening in the entire business community, in the entire world, is that people are becoming much more important. That faceless brands are having a much harder time selling. They're having to put people in front of their audiences to say, this is who we are and this is what we represent. And I think that's a really wonderful and beautiful thing. All right, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. Hopefully tomorrow I come at you with an even more positive kind of message than tonight. But I hope that you still felt some real positivity through tonight's message, and that you are wonderful, you are perfect as you are, and those mistakes that you have made and that you are going to continue to make, the mistakes I continue to make, do not prevent you from any level of success. In fact, they should be a catalyst and a springboard and a trampoline for your success when you can detach yourself from the suffering that is often self-inflicted. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to me. Let me throw up my email address real quick for you guys. You can get in touch with me through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through TikTok if I'm following you and you're following me back. Otherwise, email address is a really great place. I am here to help you guys. I'm here to support you guys in whatever ways I possibly can. I hope you all have an incredibly great night.